I would rather go to a doctor and I would tell the doctor, these are my symptoms, tell me what I've got. And then that way, if there is something, the doctor will tell you what to do about it. And if there is nothing, then you know for sure 100% that inshallah there's nothing. So if you keep doing these things, like searching online and not going to the doctor, do you think your anxiety is going to get worse or better? So you need to control your anxiety. Unfortunately, when we have these situations in our lives, whether it's anxiety, whether it's fear or doubt or any of these, we can either make those worse or we can make them better. So if you keep doing the actions that are going to make it worse, this is not going to solve itself. So you need to get some control of yourself. If you feel sick or you feel ill or you feel something like that, rather than typing on the internet, go and speak to someone about it, right? And then also, same with like knife crime, all these kind of things. Like, what can someone do in a situation like this? What can you do? Like, there's millions of children like you who are basically going through school, and it's a real problem. It's a real fear. It's a real situation that could happen to any child, I would say, in the UK. Okay? So what do we do with a situation like this? What do we do? What do you think adults do? Do you think adults are scared and worried about getting stabbed in London? They are. They definitely are. Right? Like, of course they are. They're worried about getting shot at, getting stabbed, getting this, getting robbed, getting mugged. All these fears are still there. Okay? But the question is, what can you do about this? Like, if these things actually happen, whether it's you catching something serious or you getting stabbed or you getting hurt or something like that, may Allah protect you. If there is something, what can you actually do about it? The only thing you can actually do is put your trust in Allah. But the great news is that Allah guarantees if you put your trust in Allah, Allah will be sufficient for you. He will be sufficient for you. And that's a guarantee. That's not a guarantee from some like random human being. This is a guarantee from Allah that if you put your trust in Allah, Allah will be sufficient for you. Okay? So now you got to ask yourself, when you hit these kind of situations, are you actually putting your trust in Allah? Exactly. And so I'm saying that a lot of people, the reason why they're not benefiting from this kind of situation, Muslims I'm talking about, is because they don't really put their trust in Allah. Like, if you really put your trust in Allah and you're like, look, I'm going to go and try and do this thing, and I'm going to try and do my best in terms of actions for it, but then after that, I'm going to trust in Allah. So for you, in the same way, like, you need to do the actions to avoid these things. So for example, when you're in your new college, you don't want to start swearing at random people and getting into arguments and then getting into fights and then getting into stabs, right? You don't want to do that stuff. At the same time, you want to protect yourself. You don't want to be out on the street at 1 a.m. in the morning, okay? So you got to take the actions. Just like when the man came to Rasulullah, he said, "Shall I tie my camel? Like, it's going to run away. Do I tie it or do I trust in Allah?" And the Prophet said, "Tie your camel and trust in Allah." So same way, you need to take the precautions. Like, if you're ill, what's the precaution? The precaution is you go to a doctor. I'm ill, let me go to a doctor. You go to the doctor and you take the action, but you trust Allah to actually fix you, to give you shifa. It's not the doctor that's going to do it, but you're taking the steps. Same with your anxiety. You're here, you're trying to fix it, but that requires you to go through the program. Take the actions, and then for you to trust in Allah. With all of these things, I think it's a case of, like, you have to trust in Allah. And I'll give you an example. Like, my real fear is snakes. Okay? Like, yesterday I screamed out because we were thinking about snakes. We were watching this thing and we were talking about it and saying, like, if someone offered you, I don't know, like $50 million, would you go into a pit full of snakes, for example, right? And I was like, yeah, I would probably do it. But then I started thinking about the snakes and I kind of screamed out loudly about it, right? So I'm saying, like, my fear is snakes, right? But if I do everything possible to avoid that from happening, if I do everything possible to repair it and all that stuff, and it still happens where I get bit by a snake or something like that, then at the end of the day, I will be content with it because this is the qadr of Allah. Why? Because I did everything that was in my power to avoid it, to protect myself, to do all this stuff. I put my trust in Allah with this fear. I did it all. And even if it happens, then I'm like, this is good for me. This is from Allah. It's good for me. Right? So in the same way, this is what I'm saying, that you need to take these actions, whether it is you speaking to the doctor, then you need to actually say to yourself, I'm putting my trust in Allah. And I'm saying to you that the whole anxiety is coming up because of your own emotions, your own thinking and all of this. And I'm saying once you actually put your trust in Allah for real, that's going to reduce all of that. And every time you feel that anxiety, you say to yourself, I've trusted Allah. I've trusted Allah. And you just keep saying that to yourself over and over again. And for the first 200 times, it's going to keep coming back. But after 201, it might reduce and reduce and reduce and reduce. And you just keep saying that, I've trusted Allah. That's it.